check out the bracket, bro. Got the
Yeah,
bracket back
I
there. That's
see
my
it.
prediction.
I see Notre Dame. I see that's Indiana below them. I'm assuming that's Penn State.
Mhm.
SMU. All right, we
Yeah.
got Boise State, Penn
Uh,
State.
I went Boise State.
Yeah, I
Upset.
know. You're wild. You got a couple upsets. Number
Tennessee
2.
over Ohio State. And then
Yeah, the left
Texas
side I can't really see too much. I know Texas is the third one, but
Texas over Clemson. Texas over ASU, Oregon over Tennessee, and I got Oregon, Texas, and I'm going Texas. And then on the
Texas,
top,
Georgia again, huh? That's who that is.
Boise.
That's Georgia. I was like,
Yeah,
it looks like Gonzaga to me, but I know that's not them.
yeah. I got Texas, Georgia, and the Natty for round 3, and I think Texas is actually going to win this time.
There you go.
I think Georgia's good enough to beat Notre Dame, even with the backup QB, because like it seems like the Gunnar Stockton's going to have to play, not Carson Beck. So with
Oh, I feel that.
a month of work, I think they're good enough to beat Notre Dame. And then obviously I think Boise State will kind of feel like, how did they even get here? But I just think they got the
Yeah.
bye, and then they get kind of lucky against Penn State because Penn State plays bad in big games, and it's a big game. And so you end up with just like Georgia kind of having their toughest game be Notre Dame, and then getting into the playoff,
Yeah.
or getting into the championship based on that.
You know what's
But
shocking to me? Is how does Oregon have to go through Texas or sorry.
yeah, it's a harder path than Georgia
Why
has.
I don't get why they don't just go through the lowest seed available. Why is that not a thing?
They have to. They're gonna restructure it. I think. I think they're gonna restructure it.
Kind of messed up.
I agree.
Although their coach said he doesn't care who they play, they just football. They gotta go handle business. But
Dan Lanning, I love that
regardless,
dude. Dan Lanning, it might be the highest approval rating head coach in college football right now. He's
he's
gonna
an
win every
animal.
recruiting battle against dudes right now because
Well,
of
he's
the way they've
well. I
presented
mean,
him.
and you pair that with Oregon's uniforms. Like, there's nothing stopping you. Why wouldn't you want to go there?
Yeah, it's sick. It's sick. It's a great place to be right now. All right, you ready to roll?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna keep that in. I figured that was kind of us rolling, not rolling.
Yeah. I love the cold open, bro. And that's in what they call in the business a cold open, folks. Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. I've got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, master at being flexible with his schedule because your boy changes it on him all the time. That's really my fault because my schedule's it's chaotic at the moment. I never know where I'm going to be day to day, but he always is ready to go for me. Works with my schedule, and I appreciate him for it. Jodye, what's up, Joe?
That's good. I mean, for me, I think realistically, it's just hard for me because my schedule is so polar opposite. Like, I gotta either go in the morning or I can't go till really late at night for you. You know what I mean? Just because
Yeah.
we got 10-hour shifts, so it's like if you don't catch me between the little window in the morning, it's like it's got to be late. You know?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. There have been a couple weeks there where it's like, you know what? Maybe we just don't do it, or maybe it's just not. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
we struggle to find the time, the matchup, all that stuff, right? And then every time we get done recording, I'm always like, I'm glad we did it. Yeah, that was good. It was fun. It was good. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
the lead up, the prep work, and the actual like scheduling of this podcast week to week is difficult with our lives, and is like sometimes is a stressor for me.
Yeah.
But then
Oh
when we
yeah.
actually
Facts.
record, it's always like a nice, like I always feel better. It's like stress reliever once we
Yeah,
actually get to the
I
recording
get you.
part.
Well,
Like
especially
this is
because
the fun part.
Yeah, for me, it's like, oh, I gotta go watch a lineman. Like not everyone's getting up. Like I'm gonna go watch the
Yeah,
line out
yeah.
here.
I'm telling you, it's the
So
prep work.
so it's like, who? And then you gotta figure out who you want to watch, and then you gotta make sure you pay close attention because it's easy to be like, okay, they're on offense, first down, and you're like, wait, did he block? You gotta go back and
Well,
rewatch.
the thing that like doing this does, I mean, I think coaching does this too, but like really analyzing the game
Hmm.
beyond the casual fan, and I say that not disrespectfully. I think anybody who's just watching, I would consider a casual fan. You're
Yeah, yeah,
watching for
true.
the entertainment value.
Yeah, you're not watching schemes or
You're
nothing. You're just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
enjoying
There's
football.
no analysis happening in the moment.
Mhm.
It's just it's a lot easier to watch. It's a lot more passive. But when you know that you're gonna put in the work that this requires, and you watch it a little differently live to help kinda give yourself that head start, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It
exactly.
it does teach you to watch the game differently. Like, I would encourage anyone listening to this, uh, the next football game you watch, don't watch the ball. Like, find ways to watch other parts. Like nothing, I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes the most fun thing you can do is pick, like, "All right, what matchup do I wanna watch today?" And I'm gonna watch it. The easiest ones to pick because they always stay in the screen for the most part is an edge player versus a tackle,
True.
'cause it's
Especially if
just
you're watching
they're
like a
isolated
TJ
in a
Watt,
spot.
Max Crosby, like bunch of big names on the line anyways.
Yeah, like, they're isolated in a spot, and they're always gonna be on the screen. You
Yeah.
can do it with a DB and a receiver too. It's just harder
You're
because
gonna lose them.
sometimes
Yeah.
when when they run out of screen, you can't see that until the end when the ball actually gets thrown, and then you kind of find them again. But so it's harder, but you can do that. Um, Sometimes it's a matter of just like, hey, watch the other team's Mike Backer and see what he's doing and how he's playing things. Like, is he reading, what he's supposed to, or his eyes right? Is he getting in his
Yeah.
drops when it's a pass? Is he, getting downhill versus run? Like all that stuff. It will change your outlook, one, on football, but two, on who's good, because you're not just seeing a guy when he makes a play. You're
True.
seeing kind of the lead up and the build up, like when they're like if an edge rusher is getting close, what I mean, he's beating blocks, and you're like, oh, he's getting close, he's gonna get one, and then
Yeah.
you see it actually happen where he gets one. You're like, oh, that wasn't just like one great play. That was a build up where he was setting up moves. He was
Yeah.
setting, what I'm saying, and you can watch that game within the game. It's a fun way to watch football, and it's different. Sometimes you feel like less in the flow of the play to play, like what's happening with the time and score and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but you
Downtime,
also get
swapping out
more
players. You're like, oh, this game's dragging. There's nothing but the pounding the rock. Like,
though of which players are actually, like, good
hmm
without just looking at stats, like, you actually watch it. So I would encourage anybody who loves watching football, the next time you watch a game, watch it differently. Don't just watch the ball. It'll change your outlook a little bit.
the one thing I will say too is with like if you watch the receiver matchups, you have a ton of anticipation too, right? Like if you have a general idea of like the route tree, when you see a dude make a break and then he's like off the screen, you know kind of his general area, or
Mhm.
like if you see him start getting to a cut, you're like right there, hit him. You know what I mean? But it's also but it's a little easier with all 22 because you can see where they're sitting, but like
Yes, yes,
sometimes it'll look like
definitely.
something's open and then it's not.
A
But
live broadcast. Here's the other thing. We're gonna talk about college football for a second here. The great thing about college football, especially when it's on ESPN, they have those alternate broadcasts. You can watch the all 22 angle live of a college football game, and it's
oh,
so fun. Shout out to our boy CB. He discovered that. They did it. They started doing it for like the CFP games a few
uh-huh.
years ago. I don't remember what year, but and I like to watch games like that sometimes. Sometimes with college football, I love the pageantry of it. So I like hearing Kirk Herbstreit and Reese Davis on the call.
And
And when you go to
and
the all 22, you get you're watching it
God,
just like we
silent.
watch
I
it
think I
film
think
back.
you did bring this up recently too.
And
Mm,
but our boy Chase kind of talked to me not that long ago and said, mentioned that. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's a fun way to watch a game if you're okay with like losing like I said, the pageantry and
Sound
all the other stuff. But you
yeah.
can watch the game from the angle and actually understand what's going on. That part is fun. It is, and so in the CFP games, you can watch it that way.
I heard apparently you could do that with the Prime games or something. You could put it on like Madden mode.
Madden mode. Yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that
I
too.
don't know if I've seen it because I only watch on my phone because Thursday nights I'm working. So I don't know if it truly exists, but that could be possible as well.
It does give you an opportunity to see all of it all at once. So that part is fun. Okay. So speaking of college football, last week we previewed what would be the playoff, and for the most part, we got the 12 teams correct. The order and the seating a little different. I kind of was fighting for Clemson on the bye. The committee did not give them that respect. They had them ranked 16th still, and did not vaunt them up into the bye. They made them the 12 seed, which surprised me a little bit. I wasn't surprised ASU got the bye. I sat on here and told you like I could see it going either way.
Yeah, you said
Probably
one
the
or the
right
other.
choice giving ASU the bye. And yet I thought Clemson could have been a smidge or two higher. I mean, I know they have 3 losses, but they're a
Hmm.
conference champ. I don't know,
That is true.
but they get a tough draw in playing Texas. So we'll start with that matchup. Texas ends as the 5 seed, the first at-large bid. And Clemson ends as the 12 seed. And so thus Clemson will have to travel to Austin to play Texas on that Saturday. I think it's December 21st. A week from tomorrow.
Hmm.
So it should be a fun game. I have Texas winning the game 24-17. I believe the spread, at least when I recorded the notes for this, it could have
Yeah.
changed by now, but the spread was minus 11. I think it was yesterday, for Texas minus 11. I think that both of these teams have very good defenses. Their offenses are sporadic. You've got between Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik, you've got 2 quarterbacks who seem to be streaky. So if they're on a roll, they're in a rhythm, they're very good. If they're not, you get them off their spot. You get pressure. They don't have like ultra playmaking receivers out there that are gonna bail them out. Like they have to be perfect. Their O lines are both good. I think Texas is probably better, but the run game for both these teams is going to be very important. I think both defenses are going to be locked in, focused. I think it's a lower scoring game, which will keep Clemson in it despite the talent gap between them and Texas. But I do think Texas finds a way to win. So I've got Texas 24, Clemson 17. So I've got Clemson covering as a road dog.
Yeah, so I did a double check real quick on all the
Mhm.
lines you
I
have.
figured you did.
Yeah. Texas is still the same, minus 11. Ohio
Okay.
State.
Well, hold
Oh,
it. Hold it. We'll see.
all
We'll
right.
see. We'll go game to game here. We'll go game to game here. All right. I'll go to the next game. By ranking, Penn State got the 6th seed, the second at-large bid. They're going to play SMU, who sneaks in as the 11 seed. So they stay above Clemson, despite
Mhm.
losing the ACC championship game to them, which was not surprised SMU was in, but I thought they would be the last team in. It's actually Clemson as the at-large or as the conference champ. But
That's crazy.
SMU was the last at-large bid in. I thought the committee did the right thing there. I really didn't think you wanted to reward Alabama for being 3 losses and being out of their conference championship game and devalue the conference championship game by giving SMU, the boot because they lost in a conference championship and got their second loss.
Mhm.
I think they did the right thing. I know we talk about the best teams and blah, blah, blah. When we get down to it, SMU Alabama to me is a toss-up. I don't think either team is really that great. Don't think either team is winning a national championship regardless of who you put in. And in truth,
Yeah,
I think
I get that.
SMU handled their schedule better and they deserved it more. And I'm sorry that makes SEC fans mad. I also don't understand the argument for not playing tough out of conference games because Alabama didn't play tough out of conference games. That's what kept them out. Their non-conference schedule was weak. If it had been tougher, they probably have a better chance of getting in. But it was so weak, and all their losses were in SEC games.
Yeah,
So their
I would say
non-conference
that's like
schedule
the
had
biggest
no
issue.
bearing. Like people were like, "Oh, not going to schedule tougher opponents." Like that's dumb. because
Mm,
your
your window
losses all
for
came in
margin just
conference play.
gets even
Yeah,
smaller.
and if your all your losses came in non-con or in conference play, and you had a weak non-conference schedule, yeah, you've got no chance.
Mm.
So I don't know, that logic doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but well, whatever. I don't know. We'll keep it pushing. I thought they made the right choice. Truthfully, I'm glad SMU made it in. I thought they look great, and they lost on a walk-off field goal. But I'm going to say all that and then sound like a hypocrite because now I'm going to tell you, hey, I don't think SMU is ready to go to Happy Valley and see the whiteout at Beaver Stadium and play in that environment. I think Penn State and and James Franklin are tired of hearing, hey, they can't win a big game against a ranked opponent. They're not a legitimate threat to win the playoff. All of that stuff. They showed up in the Big Ten title game against Oregon. I know they lost, but they played extremely well. Drew Aller's probably the best quarterback that James Franklin has had in his time there in terms of being a playmaker. Their defense is extremely good. I do think SMU's speed gives them a chance. But if I'm being honest about what I think in this game, I think this is the game that has the most blowout potential, especially in the environment.
Yeah.
I've got Penn State 41, SMU 21. Penn State is a 9-point favorite. I've got them obliterating that and covering as a home favorite.
Well, then I would say you are pleased to know that the line has shifted down a notch. So it went to 8. People think SMU.
Interesting. The SMU is not my upset pick of all of these teams. Like I said, I think this one has the most blowout potential, and I could be wrong here, but to me, it looks like the game with the most blowout potential, the most lopsided. It's the toughest environment of all of these. It's going to be a fast and physical defense for Penn State, which can match up a little bit. I said the edge that SMU has against most teams is its speed. They are one of the fastest teams in the country.
Yeah.
But Penn State does have speed on defense, and so they might be able to match that. And I think offensively, Penn State is going to maul SMU. I think they're going to run the ball all over them, and I think that's where you see the 41 points come into play. Drew Aller's going to be able to make enough plays. So that's what I have. All right, going to the next at-large, Notre Dame. Kind of disrespectful to give them the 7 seed. Thought that, with the one loss, I know it's to NIU, but with the one loss, they're the only team outside of, if we were just seeding it by records, right? Oregon's the undefeated.
Yeah.
Boise State and Notre Dame are the only 2 teams with the one loss, right?
Dang. Yeah.
So I thought it was a little bit, I was just, it was noticeable. It was noticeable that they were the 7 seed. I thought they would be maybe not 5 because I kind of felt like, okay, Texas lost in overtime to Georgia in the SEC championship game. You're not going to kick them farther than 5. But I kind of thought Notre Dame had the resume to be 6. So the fact that they were 7, they kept Penn State above them, was interesting. But it's also, you didn't play in a conference championship. So that does,
Yeah.
Notre Dame, join a conference. You're not that cool. I'm sorry. Stop acting like you're above joining a conference. Join a conference. That's why it hurt you. It did. Like,
I mean,
I don't know how many times it's gonna
continue going
Yeah,
undefeated.
they're so
then
stubborn.
They get that 5 spot, and then
They're so
that's
stubborn and prideful. They don't just join a conference. Eventually, like, hey, college football forced Notre Dame to join a conference, which they're kind of forcing their hand by having the automatic bids and the buys. Like, Notre Dame can never get a buy. Notre Dame can never get an automatic bid. All that. So, like,
all true.
They're hurting themselves by being so like, we're Notre Dame. We're better than everybody. We don't have to be in a conference. Like that's always been lame to me. It's always annoyed me. Like, join a conference. Even all the other teams that were like didn't have a conference, they all joined conferences. Like, join a conference. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go. So anyway, 7 seed Notre Dame. They're at home versus Indiana, the in-state rivalry. This was the one matchup, different seed line, but same. I actually got this matchup correct. It felt like it was going to be a good one. You know what I mean? Like, in-state rivalry, they don't get to play a ton, but it is going to be a fun game. I mean, projected, I think last I saw, projected snow possibly in Notre Dame. So
where is Notre Dame?
Indiana.
Well,
I don't know the
okay.
city off the top of my head. I know it, but I'm blanking right now.
For some reason, I always just assumed it was Chicago. And so I was like, I don't know where it is.
It's
I'll
not
find
that
it.
far from Chicago.
I do know that
Um,
the line did shift though from 7.5 to just 7. Oh wait, no,
okay.
sorry. Wait, sorry. Wrong game. This one is still the same. That's the wrong game. I was thinking ahead.
Notre Dame, believe it or not, is in the city of Notre Dame, Indiana. And where is that close to in terms of it's South Bend.
Okay.
That's what it is, South Bend.
Yeah,
I knew
this one this
that.
one that I looked at, it says, well, that's the South Bend answer. What was
They're
it when I was
literally
typing
they're
it? It
literally
says something
across
county, St. Johns County or something is
they're
what it said
literally
when I was popping up.
across Lake Michigan from Chicago.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
they
So
really are, like
opposite side.
it's right there. Yes. They're not that far from Ann Arbor, right? They're not that far from Chicago. Like, they're pretty close to Northwestern and Michigan, truthfully. And then, Indiana is in Bloomington. They're actually it's funny, even though they're in the same state as Indiana, they're actually closer to Northwestern's campus and Michigan's campus than they are Indiana's campus. It's very funny. But anyway, yeah, so they were 7.5-point favorite, so it's moved a little closer to Indiana, which makes the pick interesting because I have this being a fun game. Notre Dame's defense is legit, but Indiana's offense has scored on everyone not named Ohio State this year. And I think Indiana's offense or Indiana's defense is good, not great. Notre Dame's offense is also good, not great. So it's kind of strength on strength, weakness on weakness in this game. I just think Notre Dame's talent wins in the end at home as well, plays a factor. So I've got Notre Dame 34, Indiana 27. I did have Indiana covering when it was a 7.5-point spread. Now it's a 7-point spread, so technically that's a
No, I lied.
push.
This one's the same. This one's the same.
So it is 7.5.
7, yeah. 7 is for the last game.
Okay. So I then have Indiana covering again as a road dog, not by a lot, but close.
The hair on their chinny chin chin.
So like I said, I think Notre Dame's defense wins it in the end. Even though it's not high scoring, but it's not low scoring either. I think there'll be more points than the Texas Clemson game, in my opinion. It should be a fun game. Last one, the 8-9 matchup. Ohio State is now it was a 7.5-point favorite versus Tennessee. Now you're saying it's 7, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So Ohio State -7. This is the only road team I have winning. I have Tennessee 31, Ohio State 28. The reason being, I think Tennessee's offense it travels well. Their defense is fast and physical. I don't know how you can come out of the Michigan game having a ton of faith in Will Howard and the Ohio State offense, though they do have almost a month to right the ship and figure it out before they play again. The Ohio State AD came out and said, regardless of the outcome of the game, Ryan Day is coming back. That helps a little bit because I think it does take some pressure off and it lets them, because I feel like before that was said, it was kind of like, okay, they have to win. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of pressure, and a lot of people don't respond well in that situation. However, I will give Ohio State credit in saying a couple years ago when they lost to Michigan and still got in the playoff, they played Georgia to the brink.
That is true.
To the brink. And that Georgia team then went on to just destroy TCU, who miraculously beat Michigan in the other semifinal game and, yada, 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 right? But so they've responded well to pressure situations before, but that was also CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Like, that was a different group, man, than the one offensively anyway, than the one they have now. However, this Ohio State defense is better than that one too. So I do think Ohio State will respond well. I do envision that they could win this game. I think this is the closest game. It may be my Michigan fandom influencing my pick here. It's very possible that I just want Ohio State to lose. But I do still feel like what happens when Ohio State has a 3-and-out in this game? And the fans start booing when they bring on the punt team. And the feelings of being in the shoe against Michigan kind of start coming back. Like, I think this team does have those demons right now. All of those seniors, they do have that feeling. And if things go any bit sideways, I do question their ability to respond to adversity right now as a football team. And they may prove me wrong. And if they're going to have a shot at winning a national championship, they'll have to be able to respond to that adversity, because you're not going to get through a 4-game playoff without some of that. So I'm very curious. This is the game I'm most excited to watch, because I do think it's the best matchup. I think Tennessee has a legit chance to go on the road and win. I do think Ohio State has a legit chance, if they can get past this one, to win a national championship. I don't think that's out of the question, and that's coming from a Michigan fan. All right.
Yeah.
But I've got Tennessee winning 31-28, kind of a mid-scoring game, but I think Tennessee gets a walk-off field goal and sends Ohio State home.
What's it called? Did you see that the Ohio senator or something passed a law?
Yes.
That's
Petty.
off.
Petty. The flag planting law, petty.
Yeah.
Petty. Also, let kids, I mean, I'm going to rest my case on that. I'm just not even going to say anything, because everyone knows I'm a Michigan fan, so what am I going to say, right? I'm just going to let that one go. Like, that's soft, but we'll keep it rolling. So if...
Wait. Are you going to continue on this? Okay, go ahead.
If those winners are correct, the potential matchups we would see in round 2 would be Texas versus Arizona State, Notre Dame versus Georgia, Penn State versus Boise State, and Tennessee versus Oregon. Interesting matchups there. Of all of them, I think the one that would excite me the most is Notre Dame, Georgia, especially with Georgia appearing to not have Carson Beck. It'll be Gunnar Stockton against Notre Dame there. And that Notre Dame defense is good. Could see that being just like a low-scoring slugfest, much like the SEC championship between Georgia and Texas. That would be the most fun game in my mind. The other ones, I guess we would see. I don't know.
Tennessee, Oregon?
You
don't like that one?
Tennessee, Oregon. Does Tennessee have the firepower on offense to keep up with Oregon? Because that Oregon offense scores on everybody. They've been going crazy. And that Oregon defense is legit, man. So I don't know if Tennessee can keep up. Penn State, Boise State, I think, is the one with the most upset potential. Truthfully, I think Boise State getting the rest. Ashton Genty, I think, has the potential to just go off for at least a game, even against that Penn State defense that I just hyped up. I think Boise State can get upset there if that's what it turns out to be.
Is he your Heisman winner?
I have Travis Hunter.
Okay.
I think what Genty did was incredible. I think what Travis Hunter is doing is even more impressive. Like,
I get that.
You can't throw at him. And also, he's their best player on offense outside of Shedeur, of course, like their best playmaker.
Yeah.
Like, that's he could legitimately be drafted in the top 10 as a receiver or a corner. And the people who are saying, "Oh, snaps played isn't a stat."
Yeah, he's doing cardio out there.
If we're being honest, actually, it is. Durability and availability is a stat. I'm sorry. The people who disregard that are probably the same people. Yeah, are probably the same people who think like T-Mac's a top 10 player in the NBA history. You know what I mean? Like you have to be available.
Yeah.
Like you think the Niners feel good about Christian McCaffrey right now? Guy played like 2 games all season.
Yeah.
You can't help your team if you're not on the field. And guess who's on the field more than anybody else? Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
To me, it's not that much different than like Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers when he's a pitcher too, when he's healthy enough to be a pitcher.
That's true.
Like
that's why he got paid the big
dominant both. It's dominant both ways. And then I've seen a ton of takes that like he's really not even that good. He's not great either way. He's just kind of like good at both ways. And like that's just I don't blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, I just disagree fundamentally. If you watch the games, Anytime teams take chances at him, he makes them pay every time. And then it's like, oh, they're up 30 and they're still throwing their stat padding. But
Yeah.
dude, he's it doesn't matter the time or wherever you're at in the game. He's their best receiver. Like, I don't care what you say.
Mhm.
And Genty has had a generational running back season, no doubt. But some of the other dudes who he's right there with, like Kevin Smith at UCF, and who was the other one? There was another season that he was right around similar stats. Neither one of those backs won the Heisman either.
Melvin Gordon? I don't know.
It might have been Melvin Gordon. It might have been.
There's
But
like
like
3 people that have had
neither
similar
one of those
games.
guys won the Heisman either. It's not
Yeah.
just because you're having that statistical season doesn't mean you are the Heisman. Now, the legitimate argument that
Record?
people have made is the fact that he vaunted Boise State into the CFP and Travis Hunter did not do that with Colorado.
Mhm.
That's true. Well, I mean, by the same token, I think Boise State had a much easier schedule in the Mountain West than
Yeah.
Colorado had to play in the Big 12. Not to say that the Big 12 is a juggernaut, but it's also just it's true.
Mhm.
I also don't think the Colorado team around Travis Hunter is really as good as what the Boise State team is around Ashton Genty. But it's not a team award; it's an individual award.
True.
If you're asking me who had the most impact on their team this season, I think it's Travis Hunter. It's close. I'm not going to act like it's not close. I think both of them had incredible seasons. Both of them, like Genty, to me, if you're going to spend a first round pick on a running back, it's been a while since someone's really wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's
He's the
true.
one. He's the one that you do it for because he's explosive, dude. He's
like Derrick Henry.
not quite Saquon explosion. So I don't think you're spending like a top 5 pick on him,
Yeah.
but I'd spend a pick in the teens on that guy. He's that good. So,
I
yeah,
like that.
I know I was arguing against all the people out there. I was arguing against myself for the sake of it, but yeah, I would go Travis Hunter.
I feel.
All right, so we got some NFL news we got to cover. All right, we're recording on a Friday morning, so that means we had a Thursday night football game last week, and if you didn't notice by what I'm wearing, the team that this podcast likes got a dub. 3 in a row for the Rams. They beat the 49ers on Thursday Night Football in a 12-6 slugfest that featured more drops than touchdowns. The game all but eliminated the 49ers, gave the Rams a real shot at the NFC West with the Seahawks hosting the Packers on Sunday Night Football this week. The Rams do hold the tiebreaker. They're a half game back right now. If the Seahawks lose, both teams would be 8-6. Both teams would be 8-6, and the Rams currently hold that tiebreaker. So the Rams would be in first place heading into week 16. That division is going to be really interesting. The Niners are pretty much eliminated now.
Yeah.
It's a 2-team race that could be a 3-team race with the Cardinals kind of still having an outside shot at it. They're 6-7. The Rams are 8-6. The Seahawks are 8-5. The Cardinals play the Rams one more time. The Rams play both the Cardinals and the Seahawks. So the Rams truly control their own destiny. And their other game is the Jets. So they go to the Jets next week.
That's next week, yep.
And then they have the Cardinals and
Cardinals,
Seahawks at home back-to-back to finish the season. The Seahawks probably have the toughest schedule. They have the Packers and Vikings back-to-back here. And then they'll have the finish the season at the Rams. In the fourth game in between that Vikings and Rams game is, I think, an AFC East team. I can't remember off the top of my head. Have they played the Dolphins yet? I think it's the Dolphins.
For the Seahawks?
Yeah, I want to say it's the Dolphins, but I could be wrong on. Yeah, double check that. I know they have their next 2 weeks are the Packers and Vikings. And then, like I said, I can't remember who that other team is before they play the Rams.
The Bears.
The Bears. Okay.
On a
So
Thursday.
they play all 3 NFC North teams and then the Rams. The Cardinals arguably have the easiest schedule remaining. They've got the Patriots. Who else do they have? I know they've got the Rams, obviously. That's probably their toughest remaining game. Their other 2 games off the top of my head, I'm blanking right now.
Patriots this week, Panthers next week, Rams, Niners.
Yeah. So they arguably The Niners game is not an easy game, even though the Niners are 6-8 and all but eliminated. That won't be easy by any means. But these next 2 weeks, Patriots, Panthers, you would expect them to get wins. I know the Panthers are scrappy right now, but they're not winning games either. They're making it tough, but they're not winning. So
they're a favorite this week.
I saw that. It's incredible. Great for them. Love Bryce Young and the comeback story. I'm all in on that. I think
comeback player of the year that we missed.
It might be the way he's finishing the year. He could make a run. I mean, it's impressive what he's doing. I'm happy for the guy. Also on that Rams-Niners game, did you see Devondre Campbell just?
No, I saw it after the game. He pulled a Antonio Brown and just said, "I'm out."
Third quarter, he just bounced.
Yeah.
He just left. I'm like, wow, okay. He just didn't want to play. And Shanahan, George Kittle, Diamador Lenore, like those dudes did not hold back. So there's no way he's coming back to that team. Like after the game, the post-game presser, I think Diamador Lenore said that's some sucker. We don't cuss on this podcast. Yeah. George Kittle said it was ignorant and stupid and dumb and immature. And I was like, man, they're cooking this dude. Like, rightfully so. Dude quit on his team mid-game. Like that's
very true.
And they asked him to go in the game because Dre Greenlaw, who finally came back for them, was kind of hurting, and they're taking him out as precaution. Hey, go play. And he's like, nah. And I assume, we don't know what happened, but I assume he's kind of in his feelings that like, hey, I've been playing all year. Dre Greenlaw comes back and is going to play more than me. Okay, now you need me. Well, I'm not going to play. I assume something along those lines. Like his feelings were hurt or something. Maybe it's something else. We haven't heard from Devondre Campbell yet. So until we hear from him, we don't know for sure, but that's my guess. Which, if that's the case, pretty selfish, but we'll see. Speaking of beefs, dude. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Did you see the Brandon Graham interview?
I didn't see it. I've heard like the clip where he was like, yeah, they haven't been good since like early on or whatever.
He said they used to be tight and that relationship's changed. They're not right now, essentially.
I mean,
interesting.
Hey, you gotta feed the man the rock. I mean,
Eagles collapse incoming. We remember we were like a few weeks ago, we were both like, not in on it, but like they've been winning still.
Yeah.
I guess especially on the road against the Rams and the Ravens, it was hard to kind of go, okay, well, at that point you kind of have to give them like, okay, they're legit, they're a good team. But it still feels like there's fractures. It feels like they're not fully together.
The end of last year where they balled and then they just started losing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't win that playoff game, and now here we are.
Well,
it's the
Panthers. The crazy part is this is all coming out after they won. They won the game.
Yeah,
they could have lost for sure, but they won. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. I would not be feeling great if I was a Philly fan, is what I'm saying. Even though you're right there for the 1 seed, and the Lions have a tough game against the Bills this week. You're right there for the 1 seed. You're close.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can go get it. So it's interesting that they're having this much dysfunction. Also, the Philly fans who are calling for Jalen Hurts to be benched are like insane. That's insane stuff. I mean, I'm not telling you Jalen Hurts has played his best football this year. I saw the clips like everybody else of this week and him missing AJ Brown on some stuff, but he's definitely the best quarterback on your roster. And he's also probably still a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. Like if we did the list right now, you're talking about, obviously Stafford, Goff, Love are kind of your top 3 would be my guess in some order, shape, or form, right?
Are you talking passing yards? What's the metric you want to use?
I don't even want metric. I'm just saying, like, who do you want to have? Who's your guy?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, those 3 are some way, shape, or form your top 3, I would have to say. And then it's like, hey, the rookie Jaden Daniels is balling. He's not a bad option, but maybe you don't put him over a vet. But, like, Geno Smith playing well,
Yeah, he's got the second most passing yards.
But I think I'd still take Hurts over Brock Purdy, who's kind of like the next guy. I think even though Jaden Daniels has been exciting and has had a good year, I'm still taking Hurts over Jaden Daniels right now, right? So if you're talking in the NFC, he's still probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFC, even though he's not playing his best ball. So I think that the Philly fans are being a little harsh there. Speaking of that, big matchups this week. Mentioned the Bills at the Lions, the Steelers at the Eagles, and then the Packers at the Seahawks. Those are 3 huge games in terms of playoff potential. All of those teams are likely playoff teams.
Bills Lions gonna be
So
huge. Tell us a
big,
lot
big.
about both teams. Bills need a win if they want to still contend for the 1 seed. So yeah,
Yep.
Packers is huge in terms of the Rams and for seeding in the rest of the that NFC playoff picture too.
Hmm.
With them having the
Well,
three
the
or three
interesting
of the
thing,
4.
the interesting thing is Packers Seahawks could be a playoff matchup, right? 3-6
True.
playoff matchup
That is
the way
true.
things look right now. But Packers Rams could also be a playoff matchup. And we saw that earlier in the year.
Mhm.
Rams Vikings could be a playoff matchup. We saw that one. Seahawks Vikings, we saw that one. So there's a lot of like interesting, like there could be a lot of rematches. It feels like in the NFC playoffs of games that we already saw this year. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. And then there's also the possibility of like the Rams and the Seahawks. We've been talking about them in the NFC West, NFC West, NFC West. Can either one of those teams catch the Commanders for the wild card since they had that little mid-year slide? I know they
Yeah.
recovered, and this week they get the Saints. It's in New Orleans, but no Derek Carr. So, which some people would say is a good thing, but when you're going to Spencer Rattler and the way he looked during the year, probably not,
Well,
right?
aren't they going to the other dude? What's his name?
Oh, Jake Hayner?
There you go. I think they've been just rolling him instead.
Okay. Is that who they're going with? I didn't even
I believe
see. I just
so.
knew Carr was hurt. If Carr was healthy, I might even have picked the Saints in that game because they've been kind of hot with their interim, and Carr's played well enough for them to get some wins. But with that, I mean, it's going to be tough for them. I think Commanders should get a win. So getting to 9-5 probably gets them kind of out of that danger zone of missing the playoffs if the
True.
Seahawks and
Still
Rams
good
both
potential.
finish strong. But we'll see. Um, the Chiefs look like they could be getting Hollywood Brown back this week. He practiced, or at least the next week. They may be closer to
Mhm.
activating him off the IR, so that could be big for them. Last thing, kind of sad, kind of bums me out. OBJ is getting waived by Miami. Just man, the dude was at the precipice of greatness in the Super Bowl with the Rams and got hurt. And
True.
hey, I'm not gonna lie, would it
Bring him
be the
back.
worst thing for the Rams to bring him back, like little reunion, OBJ reunion, Super Bowl style? Like he and Stafford had legit chemistry.
Yeah, they
I
did.
know the Rams don't need him. Like D-Rob and Tutu Atwell have filled that kind of third receiver behind Puka and Cup extremely well.
Mhm.
But just with the history there, I know McVay and Stafford could get the best out of OBJ, and at his
That's
best,
true.
he's better than both of those guys.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know if he athletically, if he's still got it like that, but even if he might, it's worth kind of kicking the tires. I think if you're the Rams, like go grab him, see what
'Cause
happens. I know you don't
he's
have a
not gonna
lot of
cost
time.
much, right?
Say it again.
They wouldn't cost much if they did go get him.
No, 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 no. I mean, you only have 3 games before the playoffs, so the timing may not be right. But again, he already. That's why going to the Rams might be great for him because he already knows the system. He
Yeah,
knows McVay.
that
He
is
knows
very true.
Stafford. He knows Cup. Like he knows all this, dude. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. The Rams have not been above making that kind of move late in the year either. I mean, they did it with Weddle a few years ago when they won the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
that was huge.
Different side of the ball, different team, but just putting it out there that keep your eye on OBJ to the Rams. The current playoff picture before we get to our awards for the week. We always like to update the people. All right. The Chiefs, 12-1, are sitting pretty. They got a 2-game lead, 4 games to go. They should be the 1 seed. They have it all but locked up. I mean, they'd have
So
to
theirs to lose
dramatically
at
mess
this
it
point.
up. They do have the Steelers left on the schedule. So the Steelers have the best shot at getting them. They already lost to the Bills, but you need the Chiefs
Mhm.
to lose 2 games and the Bills to win out for the Bills to get that tiebreaker. So that makes it a lot harder. And the Bills have the Lions on the road this week. That's not a guaranteed
Mhm.
win. The Lions need that game just as much as the Bills do.
Yeah.
Spoiler: I think the Bills are going to win that game, but
Oh.
'cause the Lions are so beat up still. I know they're getting some dudes back, but they're beat up, man. And the Bills need that game, and I don't see Buffalo. They're too good to lose 2 in a row. I know it's 2 road games against 2 good teams in a row, but too good to lose 2 in a row. Anyway, so Buffalo needs the Chiefs to lose to like the Steelers and somebody else left on that schedule for them to be able to catch them. Whereas the Steelers, they just, if they can beat the Chiefs head to head and they lose to one other person. Now, if they all finished with the same record, if they all finished 14-3,
Mhm.
I don't know, assuming the Steelers beat the Chiefs, I don't know which The Chiefs, I
order
think,
they
would
would
fall
be.
to the 3 seed because they lost to both of
Yeah.
them. But the Bills and Steelers have not played this year unless I'm losing my mind. Which means then you'd have to go to like conference record, I believe. So I don't know who gets that tiebreaker, who'd actually get the 1 seed. That'd be an interesting situation. So
Yeah.
I think the Steelers probably have a better shot at getting it right now than the Bills because they still have that game against the Steelers. But we'll see. So Bills are right now the 2 seed. They're 10-3 versus the 7 seeded Broncos at 8-5. The Steelers are 10-3 versus the 6 seeded Chargers at 8-5, and then the Texans 8-5 versus the Ravens 8-5. So we got a glut of 8-5 teams here.
Yeah.
The Colts, Dolphins, and
They're
Bengals are all still alive.
outside looking in.
Outside looking in, all still alive, but at least 2 games back of the Broncos. Feels like now the Broncos
They
do
play
have
next week.
the Broncos have the Colts this week.
Oh. Yeah, my bad.
And who plays next week? Who are you saying plays next week?
Oh, I thought that Broncos Colts game was next week. I didn't know.
No, that's this week, and that's a big game. So, any one of those 4 teams I could see getting in. I think the Colts feel the least likely, even though they have the better record than both the Bengals and the Dolphins right now. But I feel like both those teams are just better than the Colts, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Broncos
And
got to win out.
I was going to say, I think the Broncos have a tough schedule, so it is going to be tough on the Broncos.
Chargers, Bengals, and then Chiefs. Chiefs, they might maybe they're in rest mode because that's the last game of the year. I don't know, but
could be. If the Chiefs lose to the Steelers, though, they won't be in rest mode.
Yeah.
So if you're the Broncos, it's tough because you have both the Colts and the Bengals. Like those are the 2 teams, so you got to win both those games. You lose either one of those games, you're putting yourself at risk. It's going to be tough. And then that Chargers and Chiefs, those division games are. I could see the Broncos losing out. I'm not saying it's likely, but I could see it happening, and then they finish, 8-9.
The Chargers
that would be,
are sitting pretty.
Yes, the Chargers feel good.
They got Bucks, Broncos, Patriots, Raiders.
Yes, that's a good schedule for them. They should finish. I would be surprised if they don't finish 12-5. Truthfully, I think the Chargers have a very good chance of winning a playoff game. Especially if the Chargers can win out and get to the 5 line and play the Texans in round 1. Picking the Chargers. Okay, NFC Lions 12-1, are currently at the bye. The Eagles 11-2 versus the 7 seed Commanders 8-5. So that's a divisional matchup. Seahawks 8-5. We talked about the standing with them in the Rams, the NFC West, the Cardinals, all that stuff. Versus the Packers 9-4. They're going to play this week.
Yeah.
And then the 4-seeded Buccaneers now overtaking the Falcons in that division. There's the 5-seeded Vikings at 11-2. Now the Bucs, here's the thing. If you're a Falcons fan and right now you're feeling bad about yourself, it's okay. You have the tiebreaker over the Bucs. The Bucs play the Chargers this week. You play Vegas. You should both be 7-7 after this week, and then the Falcons are right back in the driver's seat. So the Falcons fans, it's not over, but you gotta get your crap together. Okay?
They got the Raiders, like you said, Giants, Commanders, Panthers.
Bro, if you don't go 3-1 against that schedule, the worst the Falcons should be is 9-8. And if they're not 9-8, they don't deserve to get in. So you should go 3-1 and get to 9-8 with that schedule. And I love Raheem Morris. I think he'll figure it out. I think he gets him to 9-8. Now,
Bucks schedule. We got Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, Saints.
Win. They could also go 3-1, get to 10-7, and then the Falcons would be out. Now, if you're the Falcons, the Panthers and the Saints have both been scrappy. You gotta hope.
Yeah.
Because the Giants ain't doing it for you. Or who's the other team? The 4th team besides the Chargers?
The Cowboys?
They're
in Jerryland.
The Bucks likely lose the Chargers this week, I would guess.
Yeah.
And then all 3 of those games are like you should win if you're the Bucks, but also all those teams have been playing tough and scrappy, and you could lose any one of them.
Yep.
And if they lose just one of those 3, and the Falcons do what they're supposed to do, and you both finish at 9-8, the Falcons would be in. So the Falcons are not dead, is all I'm saying. They got a shot. They could be right there. So if you're the Falcons, you got to figure it out, and you got to hope the Bucs help you out a little bit. Okay, and they would be playing the Vikings at 11-2 right now. Vikings feel like they're kind of a lock for the 5 seed. Feels like it's going to be tough for them to lose that 5 seed. Feels like the Packers are also a lock for the 6 seed. It's really like Commanders versus either Seahawks or Rams for the 8 or the 7 seed. And then obviously Seahawks or Rams 3 seed. Falcons or Bucks 4 seed. Lions Eagles should be 1-2. That's not changing in some way, shape, or form. It could change who's 1, who's 2, but they're going to be 1-2.
Yeah.
So
the Vikings, their schedule, they got Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions.
Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions. I mean, it's a tough schedule down the stretch. I think they go 2-2 likely. So that means you're finishing at 13-4. That means the Packers have to win out to catch them.
Yeah, and then on top of that, Lions have Bills, like you said earlier, Bears, Niners, Vikings.
Feels like the Lions finish probably 15-2. They'll lose one of those games. I think they lose the Bills game, and then they'll win the rest.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. 15-2. I don't think the Eagles catch them. Especially with the dysfunction going on in Philly right now. So, and then the only other team in the NFC that I think has that outside shot of getting in would be the Cardinals. It's the one team we kind of didn't mention there. But all right, let's hit the awards for the week.
Real quick, did you make playoffs in fantasy?
In my league with all of my college friends, I am the 3 seed.
But I don't got no idea.
I unfortunately have Cooper Kupp in that league. So he went for a 0 piece last night for me.
Yeah.
He had Jawan Jennings, though. And Jawan Jennings only had 5 points, so kind of evened it out. He also had the Niners defense, and they only got like 4 points. And then I had George Kittle, who got me like 10, something like that.
It's like 9, I think, 4 catches, 50
So
yards.
it's like tied right now with both of us having 2 guys gone. You know what I mean? But one of his was his defense.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like he might have a slight edge on me right now, but we'll see. I still got some. I got some heavy hitters going, and then the league I'm in with Alex, we were almost the worst team in the league, so I'm not going to mention that one. Obviously, we didn't make the playoffs. And then the league I'm in for work, I'm also the 3 seed.
Nice.
Feels like I have a good shot to win this week in that league as well. So feels like I should be in 2 semifinal games next week. I'm hoping. But yeah, obviously fantasy is so unpredictable, you never know. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, there's one league where I didn't pay any money. I was basically last. I think we had the same record, but I had more points. The other 2, the one with Alex, I think I got the 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other one, I think I jumped up to 4 in terms of points because we all had the same record. But I like clawed my way into that one. And that one I had Puka, so I got like 17 or whatever. The other 2 I had Kyron, so he got me like I think like 10-ish, somewhere around there, 14 or something. So we'll see what happens. I think I have a good, in terms of projected. Obviously, those things could lie to you all the time, but I'm projected.
Cooper Kupp was projected for 15 points and got 0. So
yeah, and so with that, mine haven't really shifted at all, really, since the games have played out. So that's good. And I think with the one with Puka, like I said earlier, the way a long time ago, my name is Nakua Matata. I've just been hanging on to my guy ever since he's been back now. I think I have a shot to win that one. The other one, I don't know. I think the one dude has like a crazy team. Only lost like 2 or 3 games in that league with Alex. But this one, there's a lot more parity with Puka. So I think that one I might be able to pull out, which would be kind of wild. So we'll see what happens there.
All right. Let's get to the awards for the week, baby. The Tukwa Gamer of the Week Award. Your boy TB's got Zach Charbonnet. Man, I had 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 59 yards. Had to carry the load for the injured Kenneth Walker. Stepped up in a pivotal NFC West battle that really put the Seahawks in the driver's seat after beating the Cardinals there. So we talked a lot about that race, so I don't have to give you more. But Zach Charbonnet was a dog. I mean, he stepped up big time. He was a gamer for the Seahawks in a real way when they needed him to be. Pivotal moment. So he was ready when his number was called. Gamer of the week, Zach Charbonnet.
That's a big boy numbers right there. 22 carries, 134 yards. That's insane.
Dog.
This week, my Tuca gamer of the week, I kind of already talked about him with the fantasy talk, but I got Puka. First off, that toe tap, bro, was crazy.
Nasty.
Then you had the other one where he was jumping backwards, landing
Top
on
5
his
catch
booty
of the
cheek.
season.
Crazy. But yeah, Puka, he had 5 carries, 16 yards, and a touchdown. He went 12 catches on 14 targets, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Dude just went crazy. Had
Went off, bro. Had to. Needed every yard, too.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I think that's all I got on it. It was a great game watching him go crazy.
We got Jodye's dog of the week.
So this week, I don't know. I wanted to put this guy in the cooking award, but then I was like, you know what? Let's get someone who's on the other end of cooking. So I took someone else down there. But my dog of the week goes to Josh Allen once again. I don't know if I had him for a gamer last week or what, but anyways, Josh Allen did some crazy stuff this week, as he did last. He was the first dude to throw for 3 touchdowns and rush for 3, and so he the last 2 weeks he's set his own name on his own little pedestal. My dude's been cooking, balling, being a dog all around. And then I have on here in my notes, it says the Kelsey brothers like to say LeBron stat of the week. They always talk about whenever, because LeBron's been in the league so long, he's pretty much, you could put whatever stipulations on awards to where he's the only one there.
Did you see Jason driving the Eagle car
helmet
around in Philly?
That guy rolled the helmet.
Hilarious.
They
bro.
talked about
that.
He's
Dude's
like,
so funny.
He's like, I was surprised nothing bad happened to me. He's like, I stuck my arm out and everything. He's like, that could have ended bad.
Unbelievable. We got the minor setback for a major comeback award. For me, I got the Chargers running game. They've averaged nearly 115 yards rushing per game this season, over 4.1 yards per carry. Against the Chiefs, they didn't even crack 100, and they averaged less than 4 yards per carry. Casey did a really good job of selling out to stop the run, but I expect that LA rushing attack to return this week against the Buccaneers. I think they're going to lean on that run game and be able to do it. I know they're missing J.K. Dobbins, but I think they've got the dudes between Kenneth Walker and Hassan Haskins. I think they'll be okay. Or not Kenneth Walker, I'm sorry, Gus Edwards. I think they'll be okay to run the football against Tampa.
I was going to say, too, they'll have Ladd back, too, so that might help the run game open up, too.
Next up, we got the No Cap Hats Off Award. We're going to Cowboys versus Bengals. And, man,
crazy.
Shout out to my college teammates right here, because they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've mentioned on this podcast before, I think, but we're going to –
Special teams?
Yeah. Wins the games, Cowboys get a stop late in the game. They block the ensuing punt, but
crazy.
It crosses the line of scrimmage. So as my college coach used to remind us before every game, if it crosses the line of scrimmage, it is our ball. Get away from it, right?
Yeah.
And we always say that. The Cowboys, they didn't know that rule. They didn't do the special teams reminders before the game. And they tried to recover the ball, which resulted in a live, like a muff punt, be the same as a muff punt. Ball's live now, and allowed the Bengals to recover it. They retain possession. Jamar Chase scores for the win. Not much longer, right? So huge special teams error, mental brain fart. And as my college coach would say, shout out Coach Losi, special teams wins the games. They didn't know the rule, and they messed it up.
I don't even think it was that they didn't know the rule. I think it was homeboy got the like big fella syndrome where he saw ball, I want ball, give me ball because I don't touch ball. You know what I
mean? Yeah. We move it to the Strahan Munoz Big Fella Award. Jody, who's your big fella of the week?
All right, so this week I got the left guard on the Niners, number 78, Ben Barch. He's a very technically sound dude. keeps his head on the swivel in the pass pro. There was one play I saw him just sitting in his 3-point. I was like, okay, it's got to be a pass. Like, ain't no way. And then like 2 plays later, he was in the 3-point, and then or did I say 3-point earlier? He was in
2-point.
Yeah, 2-point, and then
I got you.
a couple plays later, 3-point, and then he was still and then it was a pass. I was like, oh, I guess that he doesn't project as much as he does, as I was assuming. So that was good. Let's see. He's quick off the ball. He was always getting up to that second level in the run game, getting some lanes for Gorendo. And then, similar to how you been doing the past couple weeks, this dude just got placed on IR following that game. So
the
I hope
Niners missed him Thursday night.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They did.
And I noticed that one in the last game. I was like, wait, where'd this guy go? I was like rewinding. I went back like a whole quarter, and I was like, okay, he has been gone. I was like,
He got
I
hurt.
wasn't bugging. Yeah, hurt his ankle,
That's a
bum
bummer.
ankle, going on IR.
Oh, that sucks. For me, I've got Brian Breesy out of the Saints. He's been a monster lately. Saw it in live against the Rams a couple weeks ago. But he was critical to the Saints' ugly win in the Meadowlands that theoretically keeps them alive in the playoff race for the NFC South. Just barely. Recorded 1 tackle, 1 sack, 1 TFL, along with 2 pressures, 2 quarterback hits. But the most impressive thing, he blocked what would have been the game-tying field goal for the Giants at the end of the game, secured the win for his team. Yeah, and he played big, man. On defense, they only allowed 11 points. He was a big part of that, and obviously blocking the field goal late was the biggest play of the game. So good for Brian Brisset. He's having a really good second year. Liked him coming out.
I almost said rookie. I didn't realize he was there last year too.
Yeah.
So all right, next up we got the Who's Cooking, and this guy. You get this dish for Thanksgiving, probably Christmas too, maybe, or just whenever you want. People like to put breadcrumbs on top, toast it in the oven. This guy grabbed the box, threw it in the water, grabbed the craft, ripped open the thing, and we got Return of the Mac. I'm taking my guy Mac Jones this week. He
said it was bad mac and cheese.
They won the game, don't get me wrong. 10-6 versus Tennessee. Scrappy game. But he finished 23 of 31, 220 yards, and 2 picks. It was a tough day for them to get the 10 points, but they pulled off the dub.
Bro, I wasn't ready for that. Hey, Jodye, that was good, man. All right, on the flip side, I have 2 chefs that were like competing to make a better dish, and the dishes they made were both excellent 10 out of 10.
You had Chopped. You were on the show Chopped, trying to figure out which one was better than the other.
Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen went for a combined 45 of 67, 662 yards, 5 touchdowns, 82 rushing yards for 3 touchdowns. That was all Josh Allen, by the way. And 0 picks, 0 sacks for either guy. That is like
very impressive.
Chef's kiss, masterpiece, both sides. I mean, Allen had the slightly better numbers, but Stafford controlled the game so well and made every play from the line of scrimmage, every check that need. I couldn't tell you who actually had a better game watching it live. I mean, the Rams got the win. You could argue Stafford, but statistically, Allen was insane.
Crazy.
The Rams could not tackle him, but just it's basically flawless quarterback play from both guys in the same game. It's a beauty to watch. I'd argue that's the game of the year right now. I mean, it was legitimately
that was the hand
fun
up
game.
Picked the wrong game last week for my bet, but I mean, we got a masterpiece of football, so I mean, I guess it was worth it in the end. But this week, next up on the list, we got the Boo Boo Evans Award. I had to bring this guy back because he got brought up from the practice squad a couple weeks back on the Browns. Kadarius Toney, he didn't see the field on offense last week, but he was returning punts and kickoffs. And on one of his punts, my guy got the taunting penalty. He threw the ball into the opponent's face, and then I want to say it was the next punt. Don't quote me, but another punt later on in the game, he muffed it, and it was just another reason for this guy to he comes back in a organization starts messing up, and everyone's like, "Yo, how is this guy still in the league? Like we saw what he did last year. Now he's back on a team and can't control the ball is on the special teams, wins the games." You know what I mean? And so, following that game, my guy got booted off the squad. They waived him. And they said we don't need him no more. So, Kadarius Toney was doing Kadarius Toney things last week for the Browns.
Boo Evans, bro. Hey, shout out to Quentin Johnson. He kind of bounced back from the previous Boo Evans week and had a better week for the Chargers.
Very
Made some
true.
big catches. All right, time for everyone's favorite segment, turnover on downs. All right, we're going first down. So here we go. I'm Dak Prescott now.
It's crazy. I didn't know he used to say that in the line until, like, I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a voiceover every time I saw those videos. That's him.
Here we go. All right, so here we go. All right, we can see the screen.
Yep, we got the
Yes, sir.
Chargers Chiefs.
As we always mention, check us out on YouTube so you can see it.
Hey, there you go.
We're going to explain why the Chargers defense has been so elite all season and why the Chiefs have also struggled a little bit, right? This game was a low-scored game. The Chiefs scored 19 points. They didn't even crack 20. Part of the reason is look at what the Chargers are doing, right? They've got a 4-man front, 2 backers in the box. So they're playing with a 6-man box, 2 high safeties. Okay, this screams run the football. And again, this goes with the trend that we've been following all year. Okay, how do we, counter back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Now, we talked last week about how the Cardinals use the tight end and the motion to create movement, and then you go with the play action off of it, right? And that's tough on a defense, especially when they're keeping those 2 high safeties. Well, then you force them to bring one of them down, and that's how you create those angles and advantages. Well, here's the thing. In order to do that, you have to be able to run the ball versus that 6-man box. The Chiefs are going to run essentially what we call duo, like a split duo look, right? They're going to motion this tight end across, but then bring them back to kick out Bosa on the backside. And then they're going to get heavy double teams on the interior defensive linemen and eventually climb or pop off when the backers show their face in the gap. And then it's a one-on-one with the tackle and Khalil Mack on the backside of the run or the front side of the run. The Chargers should not be able to, when you have man for man up front, offenses count that as a win, and they should.
Yeah.
Hey, 1 for 1, everyone does their job. This is a positive play. Should get the running back to the second level before he's touched. However, the Chargers' run defense has been incredible this year. Jesse Minter's been able to play around so much because they defend the run very well. Okay, so we're going to watch what happens. They motion it, right? Kind of motion him all the way out. Oh, bring the backer out. Okay, motion him back. Okay, now he's going to come across on this split action look. Pacheco's going to look like he's going that way, but he's really trying to get back to the boundary side on it. But watch what these D linemen do to those double teams. There's no movement. Everyone's been talking about the tackle position, right? And worried about protecting Patrick Mahomes. They're not getting movement on the interior right now running the football. So when you're not running the ball well, the Chargers can sit back in 2 high safeties and then mix in their fire zones and their simulated pressures and anything else they want to do in the passing game because you're not a threat to run the ball. Even when you bring in a tight end and run that motion, you're not creating movement, right? The Chargers that's a 1-yard run.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs struggled to run the ball against that 6-man box for most of the night. And this is a great angle at it, right? You can see kind of the angle, the angles it creates or what it's supposed to do, right? That double team, you're not getting enough movement, and the backer shows up, right? And then that D lineman kind of comes back over. And that's against Creed Humphrey, man. That's your all-pro center. Okay, so the Chiefs O-line, if they want to be real contenders in the playoffs, they're going to have to run the ball better.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not telling you that they're not contenders. They're 12-1. Now, they find ways to win games, including that one, by the way. They won the game. But there's cracks in that Chiefs offense. They have to be able to run the ball better. And also, by the same token, give credit to the Chargers defense. That Chargers defense has been elite all season. It's the reason they're 8-5.
Holding them in.
Their offense has kind of waxed and waned. They've been able to run the ball here and there. They don't have great weapons on the outside. Justin Herbert is a great quarterback, but they're still building that offense, whereas that defense right now is elite. It's very good, and it's because they can do what they did to the Chiefs is what they're doing to everybody. They can sit back in two high looks, play a six-man box, and stop the run, no matter how many dudes you're bringing. Like, even if you're bringing that tight end in. By the same token, it allows them to be creative. And Jesse Minter, coming from a Michigan fan who watched it, he is at his best when he can get in his bag and get creative, right? He stops your run game and you let him kind of show two high shells, but boop, boop, and do all the different stuff that he can do. They're really good. They're going to be tough to game plan for. They're going to be tough to play. So teams playing the Chargers, you have to be able to run the ball against that six-man box. The Chiefs, every team's kind of giving you that look, and you got to be able to run the ball. So that's just what it is.
That makes sense. Now, I would say the only thing, I think Pacheco should just follow his tight end. I know that's probably not his hole he's supposed to take, but that was the only spot that looked clear. Everything else was, like you said, bundled up. Couldn't really get movement up front, which couldn't get to the second level, and they were filling gaps. So it's like kind of hard to pick and choose right there. But second down on the turnover on downs, I got the bets for this week. Kind of struggled this week. The lines are a little smaller. It's crunch time. Everyone's got to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. Everyone's also can't lose because they, same exact statement. I could flip it both ways, but like you can't lose because someone else is either going to get closer to you or you're just falling back farther away. So yeah, I struggled a little this week with the line. So first one I'm giving you guys is Bears Vikings over 44. The Vikings have been throwing up touchdowns like no tomorrow with Sam Darnold. Bears have they've been hit or miss the past like 3-4 weeks where they'll light up the skies, at least in the second half. First half they're not doing too well. But some weeks they'll put up like a solid like 20 plus. Other weeks we get barely over 10. So could be something like 30-10. I guess I wouldn't cover, but you get my mind. Something where the Vikings score over 30 and something where the Bears get over 10. I see that's how this one could play out. Next one I got for you guys is Dolphins +3 versus the Texans. Just is that conference game or no? Texans is with the Titans and all them, huh?
It's not a divisional game,
or
but
division. My bad.
I'm gonna let you talk, and I'll let you know what I think about that one.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe this one's in Texas for one, but Dolphins have been doing well. I think last week they lost, so kind of tough. But I don't know. Texans have been hit or miss. Dolphins kind of hit or miss, and I think the Dolphins are a little under more firepower on the offensive scheme. At least overall during the year, especially with Tua being back. I think 6 games, 7 games now. So they're trending upward. I think they could pull that one off. If not, at least keep it close. And then the last one I got is the Bengals -5 versus the Titans. But Bengals are probably the hottest, coldest team in the league. They score a lot every week, but they can't really seem to pull off a dub until last week. So I think the Titans struggle every week in, week out. They just played a very, very close game versus the Mac Jones and Jaguars last week, 10-6. You know what I mean? I think the Bengals just have too much firepower to hold the Titans back in a close race. So I think they just run away with it after like halftime or something. Third quarter, you're like, all right, this game's over. You flip over the screen to some other game. I think that's where that one's at. I probably should take that one, but when I was writing these out, I have the Bears Vikings being my game I'm rolling with this week.
Okay. I'm a fan of your Dolphins Texans pick. I think I'm not telling you the Dolphins are necessarily good, but they know they have to win.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Texans don't really the Texans have the division all but wrapped up essentially. That division, it's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just not a good division. The Texans are going to win by default. I also just don't think the Texans are that good this year.
I agree.
Everyone wanted them to thought they were going to take the jump, and they haven't taken the jump. Their defense is great, but Stroud truthfully has taken a step back.
That and he was not as good without Nico, and it was just like Joe Mixon was kind of carrying the squad for week in and week out, and then he's I haven't really heard much of him recently.
They did get a bye, so maybe we'll see what happens coming out of the bye. But I have a feeling the Dolphins get a win here. So I like the Dolphins to cover the 3 because I think they're going to win outright. I wouldn't mind taking the money line there with the Dolphins.
I agree.
So I'm with you on that one. I think that's the best one. Though I do like the over on the Bears Vikings. The only problem with that one is if the Bears show up on offense like they did last week and that Vikings
They
defense
don't score
crushes
enough.
them. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of the Vikings, it's the third down breakdown. We're going to talk about how the Vikings on a 3rd and 1, critical 3rd and 1 in the second quarter, before when this game was a game and before they kind of pulled away, what the Vikings are doing on defense, man, it's so good. Right here, you're showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, Brian Flores, you dastardly man. Crazy. You've got that kind of 3 high shell. It's sort of showing, though, he's showing on this hash, like maybe it's going to turn into 2 high. Someone's going to drop out that way, right? You know, when you play Brian Flores, he's going to show you, and you don't know who's going to drop out. People are going to drop. He's not bringing them all, right? You don't know how many he's bringing. Kirk Cousins, right? It's 3rd and 1, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking, okay, got this 7-man front. I know someone's got to pop back here. They're not sending 7. Like, that's not going to happen. So I know people have to pop back. It's a matter of who and where, right? And what the coverage turns into. All right, well, I'm going to tell you what it turns into post-snap. It's going to turn into cover 3, but it's going to be tight cover 3 because it's 3rd and 1, and they're trying to play the sticks, right? So this middle of the field safety isn't going to get a whole lot of depth. He's not getting deeper than about 10 yards right now. He's going to play more of a robber, right? Both of these corners are going to get some depth, but they've got a flat defender and a hook defender underneath both of them, right? And the cool thing is, like, look at Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith's all the way up here. He becomes your flat defender. It's kind of fun. Dallas Turner is going to drop out to become your hook player to that side. And then you've got a safety and a corner, a nickel back over here who are going to, or Van Ginkel, I should say, and a nickel back who are going to drop out to become your hook defender and flat player. So they're going to blitz the inside backer, the inside dudes, as your pressure guys, right? So they end up playing just 4 under 3 deep cover 3 and sending 4, which is a very vanilla 3rd and 1 call. But it's also the way that they get to it. That's the beauty of Brian Flores, man. It's what we call simplicity with multiplicity, right? It's going to look different, but it's really just cover 3.
Yeah.
It's just 4 under 3 deep. That's it. Sending 4, right? But it's going to be so hard to game plan for it because you don't know who's doing it and where it's coming from and all that. And Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner are pressure guys. You're not expecting those guys to drop out on 3rd and 1, right? So here we go. See what happens, right? Kirk Cousins is trying to diagnose what he's getting. Right now, who's the throw right now?
I guess
right? You're thinking maybe Drake London on an in-breaker right now, if that's what you're getting. But he's breaking out. Okay, the pressure is in his face right now. He doesn't have anyone to throw to, and the pressure's already there. Now he's trying to step up and around and get the ball out, and he doesn't have anyone to throw to. And now you get the sack, also the hold at the same time. But it's the look that confuses that Falcons O-line. Right? See how they have to kick out to it?
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, wait, okay, so I have to come back here. I have to come back here. There's no real edge player. Oh, no. Okay, the back, I'm going to have to step up in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're both kicking out. And so it creates those one-on-ones. Bijan Robinson now having to kick here and get a one-on-one with Jamin Davis. That's not ideal for the Falcons. But the simulated pressure look at, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offensive linemen for 3 pass rushers, and then a one-on-one with the back and Jamin Davis, right? So that's what that look created, rather than just straight up being in a 4-man front and showing your 4-man front cover 3, right? And then you get the hold on Bijan plus the sack, which good for Davis. You know, he was cut earlier in the year by the Commanders, and you know, now he's resurrecting his career a little bit with B-Flow in Minnesota. But that obviously was a big play. 3rd and 1, cross midfield. That's you expect the Falcons to go get points there, and they didn't, and they punted. And that was a big play in that game. And, you know, eventually in the second half, you know, the Vikings pulled away. So that could have been a play that, instead of keeping the Falcons in the game later, it allows the Vikings to pull away. Big call by Brian Flores. I love watching his defenses for that reason. Those simulated pressures, man, they'll get you.
Yeah, so this week on fourth down for me, I had the bad beats. The This one I kind of saw in the end of the game when they went to, I think it went to overtime. Not mistaken. But Jonnu Smith, his yards and his receptions. So his receptions was 4.5. I think he had 4 targets, finished with 3. All those came in the last drive for when they won the game. And then his yards, I want to say, was around 56, if I'm not mistaken. And he finished with 44, all on that one drive. So you're sitting there all game, like, just feed the guy the ball. He's been hot all year. Like, since the return of Tua, he's been balling, like, getting, like, 50 plus easy, no worries. And so you're sitting all game, you're like, man, the thing went to overtime. My dude's not doing nothing. And then you see him getting the rock, and you're like, oh, got a chance, but then doesn't work out for you. And then the other one, this one kind of burned me personally. I had Nick Westbrook Akine to score.
He's been hot.
That's what I'm saying. Since 10-13, so week 1, 2, 3. Since week 5, my dude has scored in every week. But last week versus Jacksonville, of course, and then the Chargers game. The week before versus Washington, my guy had 2. So he's been hot all year, and I was like, this guy's got to score. He's getting one a week. It's simple. And then, of course, the typical, I bet on a guy, all the jokes on Twitter, all the memes, like, oh, this dude is so hot until I bet on him, then he's this guy.
Yeah.
That was me last week for him. So,
fair.
good times.
Tough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got the banger of the week. It's my week. So, Jodye, I'm not necessarily a fan of the show, but are you familiar with The Masked Singer?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We used to watch it a lot. That was Jackson's favorite show for a minute, and then haven't watched.
Yeah, I think I might have watched like maybe the first season of it or something like that. But it's not like a show that I generally watch anyway. But one of the Rams' very own, Kobe Turner, was featured as Goo on the show and recently revealed. He was recently unmasked, and so of course, being a Rams fan, that was all over and saw a bunch of it. Well, saw a clip of him in his most recent performance, I guess. He was singing Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, which reminded me, banger. That's a banger song. Listened to it a couple times since I saw that clip. So just if you're looking for music that you haven't heard, in a while maybe, or even never discovered, like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, good song, man. I'm telling you. I just want you to know who I am. Right? That's ring a bell, Jodye?
No,
he has no idea. Okay, you got to go listen to it, bro. Tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts. But Kobe Turner, just shout out to him. He killed it. Also, last night, 2 sacks. So, guy's multi-talented. He can go from singing on The Masked Singer to getting 2 sacks. And
I might be mistaken, but I want to say I saw something where he made it to like the semifinals or something for the show. I don't know.
I think he went deep, man. I think he went deep. Yeah, he's good.
He did. And apparently he like swings, or maybe he was singing for like the church choir or something. This is all after he got a mask. This is what I was seeing. I don't know how.
Good for him, man. He like when he sang that song that I'm mentioning, he like he kind of redid the notes, like he did it a little differently, his own way. It's kind of impressive. So, but anyway, banger of the week just reminded me, good song, good music. Also, I have to report to you, I'm not a country music fan. You know this.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of, on your recommendation, I've been listening to some stuff. I have to say, I'm surprised by how much I kind of enjoy these Morgan Wallen songs that you've been sending my way.
What was the one?
Now I've been kind of listening. I've been listening to more discography, going farther back in the tracks, and there are not a whole lot of songs I've listened to that I've thought, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like most of them are like, yeah, I could listen to this. So I'm not gonna lie. I think I might be kind of becoming a Morgan Wallen fan, possibly. I don't know.
That's a good guy to pick. He got some solid ones. What was the last one? Was it the Love Somebody, or would that give you another one since then?
Yeah. Listen to that one. Listen to some other ones.
Yeah.
Did a little collab with Post Malone. Listen to that one. Yeah. Good stuff. I like it.
The homies were hating on him in that one, which he didn't really sing too long in that one anyway, so I don't blame him. But yeah.
Haters gonna hate, bro. We just love people on this show. So I think that'll do it for the episode. We appreciate everybody listening, going into the home stretch. Excited for the playoffs to show up. Excited for the college football playoff. A lot of good stuff going on. And
Ball coming up.
Yeah, a lot of ball coming up. Also shout out Timothy Chalamet for his performance on
my guy knows ball.
CFP. Yeah, ball knower, elite ball knower. So we're gonna give him that shout out because this is a podcast that we love on people, no question. And with that being said, take us out, Ray Ray.